Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Out the Gate episode 12. I be your boy, DC the Guide, and I'm here with my partner in crime, the man that needs no introduction, but it's only right that we do so, Mr. John G underscore NY. What it do, baby?
Well, I thank you, Daniel. I'm very pissed, just as we all should be. But I have to say, there's one good thing that's happening right now. We were delayed 2 weeks ago because you decided to take a nice little vacay,
Mm.
and now that you're out there, everybody needs to know where you are, and this is where Danny is right now.
Mi mano y yo te cuento. Quisiera ver el atardecer, tú y yo junto a la orilla del mar y ver cómo el sol va a caer. Welcome to the viejo San Juan. Yo, that's right. That's right, everybody. I temporarily, relocated to the island of Puerto Rico, which is the motherland. So I'll be here till the end of July when I go meet you guys down in Florida. And we do some stuff. But we got a lot to get into. But before we get into it, we only lead this off the specific way we know how to, which is
Women out here. When I said we was country, you country
yes, indeedy. Gate 6 fam.
Have
Welcome
you
back
been
to the
hearing?
Out the Gate.
Have you been hearing any yours out there?
Yo, I think I heard of your when I was in Loiza, which is at Piñones Beach, which is a very popular area where a lot of people go to eat, like cuchifritos kind of food. You remember those times, right?
Mm.
Do that right down the block from Yankee Stadium. Well, they have like a whole strip here where you could just find like different kioscos and go up to them and get bacalaitos, acapurias, empanadas, the whole nine. So it,
Excuse me.
it really is paradise. It's been a little tough, but I've been able to adhere to my diet since I've been here. But enough of the diet, enough of Puerto Rico. We'll get back to that in just a moment. We have to talk about what the hell has gone on for the past week and a half, 2 weeks. Lots to get into, specifically with the two series that the Yankees just completed when facing the Boston Red Sox. Got swept again by them. It's not what you want. But even more terribly, we found ourselves getting our asses kicked by the lowly Angels.
100%, bro. Losing to the Red Sox was definitely worse. I'll tell you though, I thought we were at rock bottom when we lost Sunday against the Red Sox. Last night was bad. Like I didn't even see it. I remember actually falling asleep while Chapman was on the mound, and I was like, all right, whatever. I just went to sleep. When I woke up, and I actually like woke up sometime in between the middle of the night and this morning, and then I saw that we lost. I actually thought it was like a nightmare. I was like, oh no, that didn't actually happen. Then when I woke up and actually saw what happened, I was like, this is bad. This is really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I was dumbfounded as well. I thought that the game actually wasn't going to continue with that second rain delay, but apparently they wanted to get that game in. And lo and behold, for the first time in 865 games, the Yankees lost a game leading 4 runs or more in the ninth inning. So uh, that was a pretty bad meltdown, dude. And early on it looked dope. Like I've been a big fan of Shohei Otani with what he's done, hitting wise and also pitching wise, and it just didn't look good early on with Aaron Judge and Gio Urshela being sat out, not because of injury, but because it was their rest day, right? Which is also frustrating because when your manager comes out on Monday and says that your season is on the line, team goes out, loses, they win the following day. Oh, but wait, instead of catching that momentum You sit those guys down against one of the better pitchers in baseball, but it looked like that they were able to piece together a series of hits, and they knocked Otani out in the first inning. He didn't even
Right.
complete the full inning, which was great, right? Then going into it, you have the Angels bullpen, which is horrid and terrible. And then not only do you have the Angels bullpen, but because Otani was hitting, then all of their pitchers were forced to hit after that. And somehow the Yankees still managed to give this one away, which is absolutely mind boggling to me. And going into today, the game got rained out. You were just kind of hoping that we would sort of salvage the rest of it and split the series, but we lost. We lost 2 out of 3, or actually take the series. Excuse me, but we lost 2 out of 3. So. I mean, at this point, I guess nothing really shocks me with this team anymore, and it sucks because I feel like we've been sold a bill of false goods for a while now, and that's really frustrating to me as a fan. We've watched this team for an incredibly long time. And I think, one of the biggest issues right now, John, is accountability, right? The accountability of this team is non existent. In every facet of life, what helps you become most accountable, right? It's when you don't get the job done and when you do something wrong, the repercussions that happen from it. Where is that right now? I truly don't know like what direction to turn to. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And right now that's what this team is doing. From the coaching standpoint, from the lineup that's being rolled out there. And because of the lack of accountability, you have players like Glaber, who unfortunately hasn't performed well offensively, but he has to go out there every day.
But Danny, you got to remember, the Yankees care. We care.
I mean, I thought that they did, but then I heard Hal's presser today, and I was really taken back because it was like, well, no wonder why we stink and we're as bad as we do, right? So he addressed the media today and he put all the blame on the players. Basically said that the coaches are safe. And when asked if, the future of Aaron Boone and the coaching staff, he didn't want to speculate on any future possibilities. He just wanted to talk in the now. But to completely throw, I mean, listen, the players obviously they do really deserve a lot of the blame, but it's just not solely on the players. It's about the team's philosophy. Correct, Nick. Nick said accountability starts at the top. And when there's a lack of accountability from the top with the owner, how is it supposed to trickle down to the rest of the team?
Well, I mean, they definitely got to take some blame, from the top down. I mean, obviously, yeah, the players are on the field, but what's funny is that's not what they say when they're winning.
Right.
When they're winning, it's just like, wow, look at what Cashman did. Look at what the owners have done. Look at, like they're the ones that are holding the trophy at the end of the day, and they're the ones that take it home. So.
Right.
It was a weird thing to say. They did. I mean, I watched some of it, but I actually looked at an article and read his entire quote. He did mention in the very beginning that it also has to do with them, but I don't think that's necessarily what needed to be said there, and it's kind of like a weird play for him to go out and say it that way.
Right.
But I have some different thoughts on our specific owner here and Hal, and that I really don't think the majority of the blame so far goes on Hal. When you think about the kind of payroll that this team has, it's still up there. It's one of the highest payrolls, maybe second or third. I don't necessarily think that that's the reason why we're losing. I don't think Hal Steinbrenner up top is the reason why we're losing. Yes, I think there's reasons that attribute that he's probably not done or not addressed. But I ultimately think that if you spend this much money, you should be in competition with some of the leading contenders. Maybe you're not going to be the best, but we have a lot of the most talented players out there, Dan. Like, we have Giancarlo, we have Garrett Cole, we have Aaron Judge, we have these guys, and there's teams now. There's a lot of teams in front of us that can't even name two guys on their list that are going to be all stars this year, and they're significantly better with a record, the better record than us. So,
Right.
I think if I had to push a blame more so on anyone, I would say that it would go more to Cashman for putting the team together. And a
Agreed.
lot of these players that we're getting or we're supposed to have turned out to be something are really not turning out to be anything. The Tyones, the what happened to getting Derek Dietrich? Odor really hasn't been anything aside from a few clutch hits. Like, these guys haven't really turned out. Clint too hasn't really turned out this year. These are the kind of guys that we banked on, and like you said, a bad bill of goods. So we were sold a bad bill of goods. Those are guys that we were sold on that they would turn around.
Right. Well, I do agree. It's a combination between, I went on a rant about Brian and not delivering to the best of his capability, I believe, this year. I think it also just kind of goes past him, and it goes really towards the scouts as well, and player development, which I'll dig in a little further in just a moment. But one of the things that Hal said to me today that really confirmed everything that we were speculating, right? They asked him if he was still all in on analytics, even though it's not working. And he said yes. He said he's all in because it's a big part of the game. But the reality is that, again, what you're doing right now is not working. And you're expecting a different result by doing the same thing. How about you switch it up a little bit, right? You spoke about Dietrich down in the minors, which he's been with the AAA team for quite a while. He's doing his thing. You got Hoy Park doing his thing down there as well. In fact, he hit a home run today. You also have Trey Ambergy, who's putting on a show, Esteban Florial. But the problem is, a lot of these guys are not on the 40-man roster. And that's because of the overall philosophy, which the Yankees have been accustomed to using in the past few years. And that's because their 40-man is so pitcher heavy that they rarely have a position player on there. So you can't
Right.
mix and match the guys that are actually producing from a position, and because of all the pitchers that you have occupying those places. And he said that his biggest thing is the inconsistency of this team and the base path blunders. Uh, but he also points to accountability. But I'm going to say, look in the mirror, How, because how can you expect that things are going to be different when you're still keeping the course, right? Like, he feels that this is going to change at some point. The way everything is in place, that this is going to change with the lack of accountability. So I just don't know where to begin as far as the player development with this team, right? If you look at our position player breakdown, outside of Sanchez and Duhar and Gardner, everybody else was either acquired via trade or picked up through free agency. Now, I'll give credit to Cashman in the sense of being able to find diamonds in the rough, where Gio Urshela playing well, Luke
I mean,
Voigt.
you're gonna get some once in a while. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna get some once in a while. But, like, how about Jay Bruce? How about all
Yeah,
these
that
other
was,
guys? Like,
yeah, exactly.
I'll find the good one 1 out of 10 times by accident. Like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, and not only that, like, we touched on this a few episodes ago, just the fact that we haven't drafted well. We don't have anybody in the pipeline outside of Jason Dominguez, who's like 3-4 years away, and that was through international signing money. But we don't have anybody else coming up, right? The Yankees overlooked Cabrian Hayes, the son of Charlie Hayes, who's the rookie for the Pittsburgh Pirates. They didn't draft Walker Bueller Instead, they wanted to get Kyle Holder. Where's Kyle Holder now? They drafted Dante Bichette Jr. over Bo Bichette. So you it leads you to wonder what's really going on with the talent evaluation on the lower level. Because if you look at the Dodgers, right? Yeah, the Dodgers spend their money, but like 17 of their 25 players are homegrown products. And that's how you make things work now, right? You can go out and you can get the big time free agents like Mookie Betts and Trevor Bauer when you have control of 75% of your roster for 6 years on like rookie contracts.
Right.
So I would say that that's the biggest thing that's been so alarming to me this past month that I couldn't help but think about over and over again.
So you think it goes all the way down to scouting?
Yeah, and who's in charge of scouting? Brian Cashman is in charge of
Right.
scouting. But the thing is that then going back to accountability, when Hal is really buddy buddy with Brian and like is all in on analytics and believes everything that Brian is saying, and then the coaches are safe, then what are the players supposed to do, right? There's no urgency. Nobody has a fire lit under them to perform better, to do better.
Yeah,
It,
Miguel mentioned that in the comments a few minutes ago, saying that there's no urgency in these games.
Yeah. So, and I think that that's where we are, and it's not something that we're used to. This is an entirely different era of Yankee baseball from what we grew up seeing in the '90s, even that 2009 championship. Yo, I heard on the Michael Kay show today. Michael Kay said that Michael Brantley and Kyle Schwarber wanted to come to New York and
Right.
play, and the Yankees didn't do it because they didn't want to go over the luxury tax threshold. Now I understand that to a certain extent because outside of the money, all right, let's just forget about the money. The biggest thing are the draft picks.
Yeah, you
When
lose draft picks after you go a certain amount over, right?
exactly, and that's
Yeah.
what some people have to understand. But when the Yankees aren't drafting well, what do those draft picks actually mean? Right? Because show us who you've drafted which warrants you to really place a huge hold on wanting to keep these draft picks. And the window is closing. Aaron Judge is going to be 30. He's going to be a free agent. He's going to look for a big contract. Gary Sanchez, same thing. He's getting older. He's performing better now. He's probably going to want more money. So the time to do this is now, and there needs to be urgency all around.
Well, there's not. There's not.
Right.
There's not going. It's not going to. It's July 1st. Half the season is done. I mean, this is no long. All there was a lot of people in the beginning here in our group, and amongst ourselves, and having good fun with how we went on a bad streak to start out, and we were like, don't panic. It's just the beginning. It's early. Like you guys were right. It was early. It was too early to panic. But I mean, honestly, this team is just. It's not. They're not good. They're not good. They have the ability to be better than this. Yes, we know. But you know what? Halfway through the season, what are they gonna? I haven't done the math. But what are they gonna have to do? Win 40 games from now?
They're gonna have to have like a 680 winning percentage.
It's gonna be crazy. They're not gonna do that. They're not going to do that. They've shown us nothing.
Baseball Reference has said that their chances of making the playoffs have gone down to 16%. It's gone down.
I mean, it would be a miracle if they made it. Now, the only thing I could say is if that was to happen, where we did get hot and go, this is exactly when you want that to happen, because we've seen teams in the past get hot in the summer. We had wasn't like the Nationals a couple years ago. That was it David Martinez that was almost going to get fired, and they turned it around.
They
So
were like
it can happen.
42 going into the All-Star break.
But it's not supposed to be this way for this team that was built to be there. So it's not. We're not going to be the underdogs in this situation.
Right. Well, I think the biggest difference, and it's interesting that you bring that up because I thought about that as well. I think the biggest difference is that who's our Juan Soto? Like Aaron Judge is great at the moment, but like, who is that like player that provides that spark for us? They also have Max Scherzer. Yes, we have Garrett Cole, but let's be honest, ever since this crackdown, Garrett Cole really hasn't like been the kind of pitcher that he's been in the past. So he's probably going to have to look to reinvent himself and hopefully bounce back because that's been pretty ugly. And
Yeah.
another thing that I thought about, John, is so a lot of these players that we've had, right? I always hear the term used, play to the back of their baseball cards, but we don't have a long list of players that have a large resume when you think about it, right? Like outside of like Luke Voigt coming to the Yankees and doing what he's done, we haven't seen a large sample size of that. Same thing with Urshela. Gleyber Torres, we thought we had this huge stud. I mean, I hope he can turn it around because, you know, constantly we're hearing 5 tool player, potentially be one of the greatest Yankees to ever of this era of this generation, but he's come back to earth ever since they've deadened the ball.
All right, but he's still. We agree that he's still at least too young to move on from.
No, no, no. Yeah, no,
Okay.
I agree. I'm not saying to move on from him, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying that like I think people another thing too, like with him, with DJ, right? DJ LeMahieu, he played out of his mind when he came to the Yankees, but when he was with the Rockies, he was like an above average player. He wasn't like anything what he's been for us the past 2 years. So what I'm saying is that maybe this team is sort of coming back to reality, and they've been able to milk as much as they can from them. And because of the way the schedule played in our favor and other things as well, that worked out for the team in the shortened season. It worked out in 2018. I just don't know, but I'm trying to figure it all out and put the pieces together because I'm just as dumbfounded as all of you
As
out
all
there.
of us. Yeah, real quick shout out to we got Travis here, we got Nick Caballero as always, Migs
Yo,
tuned in. What's up, fellas? We got Javier in here as well. We got Fam Ang. Steven is in here. Yeah, Javier, we haven't talked about it yet. We will get to the minor or major trade, however people want to look at it.
yeah,
But yeah, this team is a struggle right now. This is bad, man. This is, I saw some comments going on in the chat today about, is this like the worst? I think we saw like people like Eric and Bree mentioned this could possibly be like one of the worst stretches for us in that we can really remember, or one of them. But honestly, it's been really bad. It's really disappointing because we came into this season, and I don't care how many people out there are going to say that I told you so, I told you this. No one predicted that we would be a 500 ball club right now. No one was
every
going to predict that.
everybody predicted Yankees and Dodgers in the World Series.
Right. So
And
there's
when I
one
say
there's one
everyone, I
good.
mean the experts.
Right, right. Yeah, we're not experts. Definitely not. I mean, some of us still think Brett Gardner's an all-star. So, um, there's one good thing about July 1st and being 500 or whatever record you want. It's Happy Bobby Bonilla Day. I was gonna say Babby Bonilla, but
Bobby Bonilla, same thing. Yo, you want to talk about one of the greatest heists in all of sports? Bobby Bonilla is living his best life. He right was able to get deferred payments $1 million a year all the way to 2035. I saw they even made a commercial out of it on ESPN, and it said "Happy Bobby Bonilla Day." It's fantastic, and considering that we're gonna go into this weekend playing the Mets, it's great that it happens so close to when we play them because it's something that we can remind them about just the day before. Um, but yeah, man. So I just one more thing that I thought was pretty interesting too, because A Rod was on the Michael K show, and A Rod actually suggested that the Yankees think about trading the talent for gritty guys, right? For the guys that are in the clubhouse, like Bobby Bonilla. No, not really. But no, the guys that are in the clubhouse that are going to play their heart out, hold people accountable, teach these kids what it means to win and tell them what it means to play the game and be a Yankee and that sort of thing. So when you have a baseball savant like A Rod just come out there, and he's been very critical of the Yankees too. He doesn't like how we've been so right handed heavy, right? That's another sort of knock against Cashman, where he thinks that like there's no need to sort of switch up the lineup with a lefty bat. Like, I mean, listen, come on. When Hal said today that the loss of Aaron Hicks is huge, I mean, Aaron Hicks, I like Hicks, but let's be honest, like he's not the guy. He's not no Mike Trout or anything where it's just like, oh, we don't have Aaron Hicks. Oh my God.
No, and not for nothing, but he wasn't even playing well when he was here for the first month and a half of the season. He wasn't playing well. I mean,
Yeah,
would he have turned it around? Maybe, but that wouldn't have fixed our season, and that's not an excuse. It's not.
exactly, exactly. So I think, and it started with an acquisition today in Tim LeCastro, right? I believe that's how you pronounce his name. If it's incorrect, then I do apologize. But outfielder from the Diamondbacks that they brought in, um, wasn't Cattell Marte, but I actually found out today that Marte pulled a groin. So the last thing that the Yankees want to do is trade for an injured player at this moment. But apparently he's one of the fastest guys in the league, man. So he's going to be out there and getting some time at center field. I guess they'll be able to get a little more creative with the outfield. But with a guy with this kind of speed, they definitely have to try to utilize it, right? I want to see some more stolen bases. The Yankees right now, just they're not a speed heavy team. So I think that's also where we've become very predictable. And that's what makes it easy to really prepare for the Yankees. So there needs to be more diversity. There needs to be more fluidity with this lineup.
Well, we've talked a lot about even on Clubhouse on Sundays that we don't have an athletic team. The athleticism is really down. We have these guys that have like these they're great shape, these great bodies, these big dudes. They can hit home runs, but like they can't run from home to second without potentially being injured the next day.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
it's I don't know much about Tim LeCastro. I put in the Facebook group. He was born and raised, it looks like, in Syracuse, New York. Here's some of his stats, by the way. Um, what you'll notice for sure off the bat from Baseball Reference is this guy does not hit home runs. Okay,
Right.
in 5 years, the guy he's averaging less than a home run a year so far. So
Yeah.
he's really one of the fastest players in the league. I think he puts the ball in play, gets a lot of stolen bases. Kind of sounds like a Tyler Wade guy that's just in the outfield.
Right, right.
So
No, and so Nick brings up a good point. He says that's not who we are. We're built on getting walks and 3-run home runs. But Nick, the problem is that the ball isn't the same, and you're seeing that with these hitters, whether it's their approach or just the fact that the ball's been deadened. The Yankees ain't hitting home runs. In fact, they are one of the highest teams percentage wise. I think it's somewhere like 65, 67% of their home runs are solo home runs. So nobody's getting on base either.
no, yeah,
Right?
we scored 7 runs yesterday, and we could have hit 3-run home runs. They hit a grand slam in the ninth. Like we're losing every possible way. We're
Right.
gonna win some games, and we're gonna be like, all right, look, the hitting is coming around. Sticky stuff gone. The ball is still deadened, and Nick, no one on this team. He's not stealing bases on this team. Yeah, analytics, and we're not even going to attempt stolen bases. We're not going to attempt. He's going to be stuck at first. We're going to have this immensely fast runner stuck at first on a walk.
Yeah, big time. And again, this all signs point to the job of the front office right now. And I brought this up on Clubhouse, and I brought this up a number of different times. Most frustrating thing with the Yankees is that they are half stepping. They want to be like the Rays, but they're the fucking New York Yankees, right? So if you want to be like the Rays, then don't spend $200 million, right? Don't bring in a $30 million DH. I love Stan. Like I want Stan on this team. But if you're trying to mimic the Rays, then why are you bringing in a $30 million DH, which clogs the position to be more creative with the lineup, right? Because
Yeah,
when
but then why can't we take someone like Stanton, someone like Judge, and someone like Gary? That I mean, those are long ball guys, right? I mean, actually, Judge is the best hitter on the team by far, and he could do it all. But outside of him, the other guys are long ball guys. So why not put the other guy or people around them that can do it all? They might not hit 30 home runs, they might not hit 20 home runs, but they're going to put the ball in play. And I know people are going to say, oh, then comes the double plays, and then we're waiting for the 3-run home run and we'll never get it. But how about you have a balanced lineup where there's
yeah,
players that do that, but then the John Carlos of the world will hit the 40 home runs.
right.
Sanchez is on his way to probably another 30 something home runs already. So it's like the home runs are going to be there, but the other guys are not going to be able to do that. So people like and Glaber, I think, is a disappointment right now. He's had a roller coaster season already. But someone like him, I think he'll come around. But it's basically everybody else. I think there's 5 Yankee hitters that we can say we're good with. The
Yeah,
rest of that lineup, you could throw it out. They're
it,
minor leaguers after that.
it's not a balanced lineup. Teams can easily prepare for it, like the Rays. The Rays have a ton of, what did Kevin Cash say? He said he's got a stable of guys that throw 98. Many of them are right-handed pitchers, right? So when we have our right-handed heavy lineup,
Oh, I don't even want to get into this. How the hell do we not have any left-handed bats on with the short porch, bro?
right, right,
How? I know people are gonna say analytics tell you this. Analytics, get the fuck out of here, bro. Get us some left-handed bats.
exactly. Let, let's
Jesus.
let's utilize that, right? Yo, you saw what Otani did. You saw what Otani did while he was here. Otani's a lefty batter. He was utilizing that short porch in right field. So listen, there's a lot of changes that need to be made, but John, I don't know if those changes will ever come. If Hal was on record as saying that like he's all in on the analytics, he's all in on Brian Cashman and the coaching staff. It's like, you know, somebody has to be the sacrificial lamb. And right now, Hal is saying, hey, it's the players' faults. They're not playing to their potential. It's nobody else's fault.
You know what else he said, Dan? That bothered me too. I he said, I think he was asked about George and how the way that he went about things, and he was like he went on impact and emotional and made crazy decisions, fired people, whatnot. Oh, great. And he said that it didn't work out more times than not, right?
Right.
What has Hal done that has worked though? So
Right. Right.
George may have missed it 20 times, but we
Right.
still have championships to show for it, and we were able to like have a dynasty team. So
Yeah.
maybe he got it right one time. He got it right in the late 70s in that crazy situation with Reggie and Billy Martin. But like there's positives to show out of this. Our positives are we won 100 games, made the playoffs, and lost. That's the positives. That's the analytics so far for us. We're doing great. We're making the playoffs. We just can't get over the hump. That's what keeps Cashman in his seat. That he gets 100 wins. So this year, it's 100 wins is out the door. It's gone. We're not even. We're maybe at 90 if we even have a decent second half. So I think after the season, Cashman is on the hot seat. I don't think they're going to do something this year, but I think during the offseason, if it ends out that we don't make the playoffs, I think that we'll have to do something with him. Because what else are we doing here? What are we doing? 5 teams make the playoffs. We have the second highest payroll, and we don't even get close to making the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, yeah, that's an excellent point. And Brian has had his time with this team, but he is the constant variable in all of this. And the soldiers that he has on the ground in scouting, in player development, and then some of the moves that he's making himself, and also his hands are tied too because he was given orders to not go over the luxury tax threshold. So instead of Kyle Schwarber and Michael Brantley, we have Darren O'Day, Tyone, and Odor, and all these other ragtag guys. So I do agree. I think if there's anybody that needs to be held accountable at the end of the season when all is said and done, I think it's Brian Cashman needs to have learn what it feels to be like on the hot seat because he's never felt that in his career. And I think part of the issue is I think Brian's become a member of the family because of how long he's been with the Yankees. Don't forget, he was an assistant like an intern like during the 90s, and then eventually he went into the role of becoming the GM after Gene Stick Michael and Bob Watson put that 90s dynasty together. And here we are. I'm also gonna like point to something that I kind of forgot, and I heard it the other day, and I remembered like, yo, Brian Cashman had very little respect for Derek Jeter towards the end of his career, to the point where like he offered him, I think it was like $4 million less, and Jeter asked him, well, name a shortstop that you want playing in the position over me, and Brian told him, I'll name five, right? So that's sort of the egotistical person that Brian Cashman has become. You take an icon, a legend like Derek Jeter, and basically because like you're done with him and you're a cerebral person, and you're in analytics and you like other people out there, because at that time he was already looking at Didi Gregorius, that he just decided to spit in Derek Jeter's face and just kind of like didn't really show him the respect that he was due. And even to this day,
Can't do that.
Jeter, like he doesn't forget, Derek Jeter remembers the teacher that gave him a B in the 5th grade. You know what I'm saying? So and I just bring that story up because I think that just kind of paints a picture on how comfortable Brian Cashman has become here with the Yankees. And when you really look at the resume outside of 2009, because again, I'm going to credit those 90s championship teams to Gene Stick Michael, Bob Watson, when the scouts and the players were, or excuse me, and the player development was in place that developed the core four, and they got Paul O'Neill and knew how to bring in Scott Brocious and all these guys. Like
Yep.
that's what made the Yankees again. And Brian still hasn't done that, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Well, then this leads us right into the last segment, and that's tell them why you mad, son. And there's so many reasons why we're mad right now, but I'm gonna just say one quick thing, and it's really to add on to what you're saying, not really to do with Jeter, but it has to do with Cashman. So for everyone listening right now, we've all had bad days at our job. We've all had bad weeks. We've had bad months. Maybe not bad months, but a bad day here or there. We don't have bad months. But if you have a bad few months, a bad year at your job where you're just not performing well, below average or below expectations, you get written up, you get warnings. Brian Cashman has not really done anything other than put out a 100-win team the last few years and then not deliver in the playoffs. So imagine this guy has been with this team for, what'd you say, Dan? Like 22 years?
Yeah.
So
he's been at the helm since 97. I think Watson was credited with 96. So he's been at the helm since 97.
right. So the thing that gets to me is if we sucked at our jobs, we get fired, we get written up. And Hal comes out today, and you could talk about Boone a little bit too. I don't think it's all on him or much on him. I don't like what he says either sometimes, but it's just crazy. It's just crazy that he doesn't get, like you said, held accountable for not putting the team together and not having results. If this was any of us, we get written up, something happens to us, we get bad reviews. We get our shit handed to us. We need to get a new job, whatever it is. Brian Cashman is still here, and I'm not. I actually like the guy. I just think there needs to be a change now. That's it, and
Well,
that's why I'm mad, bro. There's so many more reasons. So many more reasons.
it's a very valid reason to be angry. Listen, he's found a ton of diamonds in the rough and he's made some great moves, but they are singular moves, right? It hasn't translated to what we expect. Yeah, we have two 100 win seasons in the past, 2 years minus the COVID season, and that's great and all. But the last time this team won a World Series was in 2009, and it was a no brainer because what ended up happening, they went and they got the stud. They got CC Sabathia, they brought in AJ Burnett, and they brought in Mark Teixeira, right? Couple that with everything that was on the team already with legends like Mo Rivera and Derek Jeter, and then you also had A Rod there and a number of other players. Yes, they had to be the favorite to win in '09. But since then, there's been a lot of mediocrity, bro, up until 2018 and 2019, and where the Yankees became this powerhouse, but they really had nothing to show for it. So it is a very valid reason to be upset and mad at Brian Cashman and just with the overall philosophy of this organization. Because again, everyone, Hal Steinbrenner is all in on the analytics. And when your owner is all in on the analytics and refuses to change the course, this is what the season is. So don't be surprised if the Yankees don't live up to expectations this year and just end up becoming a very average team while this philosophy is still in place. Um,
Thank you, Gil. Thank you. Fully responsible. Fired.
Shout out to Gil. Miguel brings up some good points about like Cashman. The team was pretty much in place, but he brought in like Clemens and El Duque. Those guys were huge parts, and definitely not taking that away, right? But again, the core of it that was in place that made them so great, he had nothing to do with that. So prove to us that you're brilliant, Brian, and do what Gene Stick Michael and Bob Watson did to lead to that '90s dynasty. Um, it's been a while since we've been on, and I know we've talked about this on different occasions, whether it's in Clubhouse or posts here and there in the room, but just the handling of Major League Baseball and why it seems like it hates to grow the sport, right down from what they've done with cracking down on the sticky substances. Okay, you want to crack down on it? Fine. Wait till the end of the season, right? They've created such a spectacle. Uh, what the other day there was like a pitcher that got lit up for like 10 runs, and when the inning was over, they did an inspection. All right,
Yeah,
it's
what are they gonna do? Throw him out of the game? Yo, what you got there? What you
right.
got there? You got some lotion on your mitt? You
Yeah,
getting some help? You might have
and
gave up 16? What's going on?
right, and it's just like nobody is safe, and they've created such a circus on the baseball field, and it's tough to see what they've done, and also just give like the umpires just this arbitrary way of going about it. With the issue that happened with the pitcher from the Mariners, and they felt his glove, and they said it was too sticky, but apparently it was like sweat and rosin, right? And then you learn, okay, so the glove after the game, it goes to the MLB office in New York to be inspected, right? Think of all the people that are touching the glove on the way there. This is going to be a disaster with the Players Association. They're going to be so upset about this. And at some point, this too is going to turn into a lawsuit. It's going to be another circus, just blunder after blunder after blunder. Baseball continues to do the wrong thing over and over again. Another example, there was no All Star game last year because of COVID, right? So this year, instead of including the teams that were involved in the World Series last year and the season before in 2019. They just decided to skip 2019 altogether and do the teams that won the World Series, or excuse me, do the Dodgers and the Rays staff rather than include both the teams. You have guys like Davey Martinez and other individuals on that staff that this is these little accolades that they get to add to their career are well deserved as well. They look forward to it. Baseball took that away. It seems like every opportunity that they have to make a misstep, it does. And we speak about just how inept and how idiotic Rob Manfred is. And as long as Rob Manfred is in this position, I really don't think that this game is going to evolve in the way that we would like to see it grow as an overall sport and become America's favorite pastime again. So there's just a lot of buffoonery. There's a lot of idiots running the show. And
Buffoonery.
that is why I am mad, son.
Yeah, man. Well, it's all bad news right now. I'm actually glad that we have an off day. Get to watch some basketball. I'm actually seeing that the Yankees have Yankees Classics up right now. I don't even know which game this is, but it's against the Mets.
Yeah.
But I feel more like a Metropolitan right now than anything else. We got Metropolitan disease.
Yeah, so we are going to face them this weekend, right? We got the Subway Series, which I feel their fans look forward to more than we actually do. This one's going to be at, is this one going to be at City Field or is that going to
Nah,
be?
it's home. It's home here at Yankee Stadium.
Okay, yeah. So we got Garrett Cole going tomorrow. I know everybody was sort of hoping that the Mets game got rained out tonight. That way it could be DeGrom and Cole going tomorrow. So we were able to sort of avoid that disaster and imagine like facing Jacob DeGrom like fresh off of this uh, atrocity, but luckily like we definitely were able to get through that. Also, there was another move that was made about 2 hours ago. The Yankees got an outfielder, Aldenis Sanchez from the Tampa Bay Rays as the player to be named later in the June 17th trade, in which the Yankees also inquired cash considerations in exchange for Mike Ford. Right. So the Yankees are now looking for outfield depth, and we're just getting people that we never even heard of. So,
All right.
yeah,
Big
World Series,
moves.
here
Big
we come.
moves. Diamond in the rough. Just once again, before we wrap up, thank you everybody for joining. Later on, we had Jono come in as well and Jamie. Thank you guys, Nick, as always, Migs. Um, Appreciate everybody joining up. We had a nice little crowd today. Make sure if you're on YouTube, hit the like button for us. Subscribe if you can, if you haven't already. Share it with your friends. Alfredo is on. What's up, Alfredo?
Yo, what up, Cuzzo?
We had Jono said we haven't been good since the last time you did this.
Yeah, word. Hopefully we turn it around, man. Right? We got the Mets coming up. Who do we have after that?
I don't know. I can't look that far ahead, bro.
We got the Mets, and then we got the Mariners for a 3-game set, and then we got the Astros, who actually just got swept by the Orioles. So, and then we have the Red Sox after that. So listen, the Yankees need to get it together in the next 10 games or so because the season really is on the line. They're 9 games back out of first place. We're in fourth place right now. We're out of the wild card as well. So they got to piece together some wins if we're going to be hanging out at Yankee Stadium in October.
Yep.
But yeah, as John, just to reiterate what John said, once again, everyone, we thank you for tuning in. Don't forget about the clubhouse that we'll be doing this Sunday on the 4th of July. So get your fireworks ready because we're going to be coming out with some heavy topics. If you're not on Clubhouse yet and you would like to partake in these festivities, feel free to DM John or myself, and we can send you an invite to Clubhouse and get you in the group. We would certainly love to have you there. If you don't know what Clubhouse is, it's basically an audio chat forum. It's a chat room where all you're doing is speaking. You're not typing. So it's really evolved into something that's fun. It's like church for us, right? And it's also therapeutic. So a
Mm.
lot of people go in there and are really able to get off what's on their chest. So once again, everyone, thank you, John.
Have a good evening, Dan.
Thanks. Yo, peace out from Puerto Rico.
Pick up the pace. I'm about to chase money in case, clean up base. Pick up the pace. I'm about to chase